What is going on, everybody? Bauer Brown here. Welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome to the next video. The video that I have for you guys today is something a little bit different. Been playing a little bit more farm sim lately, trying to get myself back up to speed in anticipation for FS25 coming out. I spend so much time making maps that it's one or the other. Either spend the time making your map or spend the time playing the game. And maps take so much time, which kind of leads me to this video. Now, I've been working on it for a really long time. Not this past November, but the November before is when I started it. Now, it's been on and off. It's not, full time, 8 hours a day. Some days it is, some days it's not. Life happens in between. Right. So there's been a lot going on. But anyhow, I have a pretty significant amount of time into this map and not as much time playing farm sim. So I've been trying to play some farm sim, just to get myself back up to speed, neglecting the map again. And this is what happens. This is where breaks end up, happening in the process, that, you're away from it for a little while because, you're addicted to something else for the time being. Anyhow, now that I've been playing and enjoying farm sim again, it's time to test out the map. Not so much test it, but just kind of inspect things, right? Just drive through, see how it's shaping up, see how things are coming along. But I just kind of wanted to step back through the process and just kind of review how I even got here in the first place. All right. So Rocky Mountain was done, I don't know, maybe that November, somewhere in that area, about a year after Farm Sim 24 came out. All right. Now, with this new one is Washington County, Kansas. I'm kind of throwing around names at the moment. Not sure what I'm going to call it. Palmer 2.0, maybe. It's Palmer, Kansas. All right. So finding the area is actually the fun part, right? So this is how I started, basically just kind of hitting Google Earth. Now, I did have several maps that I've been toying with, that I kind of played around with and just experimenting, different locations, trying different DEMs, see what looked good. And somewhere along the line, this particular location, right, sort of checked all the boxes. And really it is fun trying, to find an area, hit the areas that, are big on farming, Iowa, Kansas, places like that. But just looking at this random location here, I mean, you can see there's plenty of farm fields, right? Whole lot going on. And I tried to pick a place with a relatively small town that had everything I need. Like I said, they checked the boxes. It had, a railroad tracks. It had a little town. It had plenty of fields. It had some kind of body of water, a creek running through it, right? You get the idea. So Palmer, Kansas ended up fitting the bill for the most part. Now there are some things you need to watch, right? So let's get over to there and see what I ended up settling on, which would be, let's see if this gets me there. It looks like it's going to. Okay. And this is the area that we settled on. Okay. So this is Palmer, Kansas. Now, the town itself seemed small at the time until I started trying to recreate it. And then I realized, yeah, another reason it's taken so long. There's parts about the town. Like I said, I got some logging areas here. I got lots of trees. We got areas we can log. There's a big giant creek that runs through here, Pete's Creek, it's called. I realized at the time, now there's settings that you can use up here on Google Earth, because that's how I started, through Google Earth, that you can tell it to highlight certain areas, streets, roads, railroad tracks, and it highlighted a railroad track. Well, come to find out, now I believe the railroad track was, I think this area that you see right here, right, heading up right through the center of town. That was an old railroad track. I didn't realize that it no longer exists. I mean, even looking down, it sort of looks like there's a railroad track here. Well, that kind of looks like a street. That is a street. But trust me, there was a railroad track that ran through here. Maybe it ran right next to the road, or maybe they made a road out of it. I'm not sure. But there was a railroad track that ran through there at one time, and I didn't know it used to be All right. Now, from up here in the bird's eye view, everything looks, quasi normal. But when you really get down into, ground level, about 90 to 95% of the roads are all dirt. Right. So it kind of made a difference when I started my nap. I didn't realize it at first. I just started putting down solid roads until I got down in the street view and I realized, damn it, they're all dirt, which would have been much easier. But I kind of like a regular road too. So, that's why I've been playing with the name Palmer 2.0, because it's a little bit of the previous, a little bit of the current, and, there's some fantasy elements to it. I don't want to call it fantasy, but, I had to ad lib here and there and kind of do my own thing. All right. So that's how I settled up, on the area, and not sorry I did. I do enjoy it. It's been fun, right? So it's been a process. All right. So once you have this all settled, there's ways, and I'll do a video about this one day. There are ways to mark out, you pick the area that you want, and then you decide on the size map that you want, whether it's, a standard size map, a 4 kilometer, 8 kilometer, and then you can mark that area out. And then once you mark that area out, there are websites that you can go to where you can get the actual the elevation information. The DEM is what you're looking for, right? So I think like I ended up with let's see, let's mark this one up here. So that would have been my overlay. That would have been the area itself, right? This was a 4 kilometer area. And then I ended up using a bigger area because this is the border of your map. This where it pushes out to 6 kilometers here. So that's the border of your map. So I ended up, snapping images of all that. Now, in the process, let's see if we can find this one here. It might be this one. Not sure. No, it doesn't look like it showed up the way I wanted it to. Oh, maybe it's this one here. Okay, that's it. Now that's your DEM information, right? So this is how you would end up with your DEM, and then your overlay, is right over top of it. So this area right here is what my DEM ultimately ended up looking like, right? And this gets all of your elevations are correct, right? Your hills are in the right place. Everything geographically looked correct. All right. If you do things the right way, if you do things properly, there's ways, where your UPP's got to be right. Your height scale, once you build the map, has to be correct, right? If your height scale's off, none of this is going to make a difference, right? You can end up with like a really flat area when it should be really hilly, or you can end up with mountainous areas when it should be relatively flat. All right. So it's important to get this part right, your height scale. All right. And all the height information is available through certain programs, right? And if I ever get around to doing the video series on that, I'll explain those programs, how they work, how to obtain that height information, and be able to replicate an area, a real life area like this. Now, I have in the past, I have taken DEMs from areas, and I've used just the DEM, and then I just did what I wanted with that height information, right? And I just built what I wanted. It didn't, I wasn't modeling it after a real life location, even though I used real life data. All right. So this would have been my first map here, right? That I used real life data, right? That I modeled, not that I used real life data, that I modeled after a real life area. Okay. So like I said, this is Palmer, Kansas. And then what I ended up with here is, if you look, do I have it turned on, turned off? Not sure here. Currently off. What mode am I in? Okay. One of the images, the way I kind of start this out, the very first thing I do is I have an image that looks like this. All right. And it's in Photoshop is how I get this started. So I have this image in Photoshop, and I start tracing out roads. I trace out the roads where they're supposed to go. Those go into one layer. Then I start maybe tracing out the fields where they're supposed to go. That goes in another layer. You get the idea, right? So everything gets marked out, and there's a way to transfer that over into an info layer. So like my fields, I don't have to go through and trace every one of my fields. I do that in Photoshop, and then I just transfer the whole thing over, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It's done. It's easy, right? A lot easier than tracing it all out. Trust me. All right. but not everything goes that smoothly. Okay. There's a lot of things like that I thought was not a field. Turns out it is a field. Things that I thought were fields are not fields. So you have to go in there and you have to touch things up and kind of add things as you go. All right. So this is what I ended up with. I had this image that I said like I was working on, and I wanted to keep everything pretty much true to life. So as I turn this off and on, and you can see things fit pretty well, right? Some things maybe not as much as others, but for the most part, every single house is where it needs to be, right? So there's houses where there's supposed to be houses. Even down here, there's a swimming pool down there, and even on my map, I have a swimming pool down there, right? So it's extremely accurate as far as the real life location is concerned. Now, when I started out, I think somewhere maybe around this area where you see these silos down here. I think I started out in that area, and then up in this area, somewhere up here. What is that? What is that huge rock doing there? Sorry, I just realized that rock was there. It doesn't belong there. I think I brought that in because I needed rocks for something, and I think this is just where it happened to set them. That is not part of the map. All right. So anyhow, when I started working on it, I was just kind of throwing stuff in there, kind of going back to my old ways, right? Sort of not my old ways, but where I would take real life information and just do what I wanted with it. So I started doing that, and I realized like, why am I not keeping this accurate? That was the whole goal. So some things I had already started laying down, train track streets, like places like this area in here, right? Where I kind of made this area. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. It may serve a function on the map. I'm not sure because there is a type of factory in this area, like a warehouse. That I think it's like Purina or something like that that sits down in here. But this isn't entirely accurate, this area, right? So, because I kind of did things a bit differently then. I wasn't going to go gung ho and recreate every single building exactly where it was. And I was just going to, take some base game elements, slap it on there. And, we were going to have a map loosely based on this area. All right. So somewhere in the process, I got the wild hair up my behind that I'm going to recreate every single building that's on this map. So, all of these buildings that you see here are well, a lot of them need to be finished yet. But these are all replicated after an original building that sits in that exact same area. So, like I said, as far as replicating the map, it's damn close. I mean, the buildings, I don't know if I can pull this up in maps here, because that's the second part of how I get this information, right? So once I get everything settled and I know what I want, I end up down in Street View, right? So I get down here and then I figure out like down here is this cafe and stuff that we're looking at, right? So I'll get myself down in Street View. Right there's the bank. Okay, see this building here would be this building here. Okay. Let's kind of get us into the same area here. All right. So that's that building. Okay. Now you can see there, it's pretty darn close. Not bad, right? Little differences, but for the most part, pretty accurate. I mean, everything down to the air conditioning units and everything, like this post that sits here, this little cabinet looking thing, it's all in there. Okay. So I really didn't skimp out on much. This Skelly place, I think that is in the original. That's right behind us. So Skelly sits right there. And here is the original Skelly. So you can see, like I said, even a telephone pole smack dab where it needs to be. Now there's a sign here that's not in real life. So I took some liberties as I was making the map. Sometimes you just have to. One of the things that I realized when I was working on this is that Palmer, Kansas has a lot of fences, like a ton. Every single property has some sort of fence around it. And I can't realistically, it's going to kill the map. I can't do that. I can't make that many fences. So when you do something like this, you're going to have to take some liberties, right? Put things where they don't belong. Now I started with trying to use base game houses. So that led me over to this area right here. All right. So, or no, sorry, down in here. So all of these houses are base game. I was just taking a base game house and I was sticking it, where there was a real house on the map. Okay. So there's a garage there. We'd throw a garage there. There's a house there. I would throw a house there. Garage, throw a garage. You get the idea. All right. So very quickly, I ran out of houses and I realized, shit, there is a lot of houses on this map. And if I keep doing this, I'm going to have a whole entire town filled with the exact same house, which defeats the purpose if you're replicating an area. Having base game houses at all, in my opinion, defeats the purpose. All right, so now I had to get back to the drawing board. What am I going to do about that? Well, at the time, I was half decent in Blender, or decent enough, but my skills weren't at the point. Well, I mean, I can't say my skills weren't there. I could do it, but not enough. Like I couldn't just start pounding out these houses enough that I can make an entire city's worth of houses and not slow down the process incredibly, which ultimately is what ended up happening anyhow. I can get houses done pretty darn quick now, but it still takes a while. So then I started mixing and matching, like building my own garages. Like the gas station down here was custom. And I started with texturing using all base game textures, right? So all of these houses down one of these areas, you've seen a lot of this stuff before. A lot of these houses are all base game textures, right? You can see how clean they look. Nothing looks too dirty. Everything looks, fairly new. And those were all base game textures. But that wasn't good enough for me either because, the detail that I wanted, it's like houses aren't dirty enough. Like, who the hell cares? Most people are really just going to drive by, and that's going to be the end of it. They're going to pay attention to it for a whole 10 seconds and that'll be the end. But, me being me, that wasn't good enough. So then I started getting into, I needed to do some more work in like Substance Painter. Let's start painting the houses. They're modeled after real houses. So why not, paint them like, real houses? So then we started doing stuff like this, where I started, getting all of these custom houses. These, like I said, every one of these houses is patterned after something that is there in real life, with the exception, of a few. Every now and then, if I get tired or, of doing that, I'll throw in, a base game house if it makes sense, if it's suitable and it looks remotely close to what's there. I'll throw it in, right? Because it really does slow down the process having to recreate every one of these houses. If I go into this, by the way, is my Blender folder. This is for Washington County. So as I scroll through here, these are all objects that were made for the map, right? And that's, I don't want to say part of it, but it's a lot. Even the houses, I have 28 houses in here, and that's not all of them. So it's, man, does it slow it down? I can't say I wish I would have never done it, because it looks good. It's really turning out really nice. Everything looks really good. I think it's going to be, ultimately, I think it's going to be a good map, right? So when I look around, like I said, I got some areas that you can log, maybe not as big as a lot of maps, right? Or some of my past maps where you can spend hours and hours logging. But it still works out. I left a lot of, like I said, I didn't leave it. It's how it was in real life, but I have areas, big open areas, right? That the player can do what they want, right? If you want to make your own forest or a logging area, you can do that. If you want to turn it into a big, huge farm, you can do that. And so there's enough open property that you can do what you want, right? So now with like the farm production packs, like some of these buildings are pretty big. So, keeping everything so tight with the fields and not having a lot of extra room kind of hurts, the gameplay in the long run because you don't have the room to do the things that you want to do. All right. So the other thing that having the room is important is also Most players, and you'll see this a lot when people you'll release a map and you'll hear it, or you'll just hear it about other people's maps. Is like maybe the home farm, it can't be torn down. It's not sellable. I can't sell. Most people want to be able to sell every single thing on the map, everything. And as a map maker, that is a pain in the ass. It truly, truly is. It's just having to make every single thing sellable. And don't get me wrong, there's some properties like your home farm, you should be able to do what you want with your home farm. I get that. Right. So you tend to make certain areas sellable. That makes sense. Right. But not everything needs to be sellable. Well, by giving all of this extra space, you really don't need to worry about buying things that, are I don't want to say they're for decoration purposes, because if they serve a function, you know, I'm not saying you should be able to sell it, but it's tough for a map maker, because it sort of takes away from the vision of the map, right? So if the map is based on a real life location, you want things to stay a certain way in certain areas, right? So other areas, do what you want, but some areas you'd like it to stay the way that it is. So you make it not sellable. Not everybody's happy with that, but boo hoo. It is what it is, right? In the beginning, I made maps for me, and I still do. I make maps that I like to play the way that I like them, the way that I want them, how I enjoy them, and that's it. And then somewhere along the line, I choose to share my maps with everybody else, and you can play them if you want, love them if you want, and if not, there's other maps out there. But people spend a lot of time hating on other people's work when the option is there for them to just play something else. Not hard. All right. So anyhow, this is where we ended up. Ultimately, I think it could be a really good map. It's shaping up really nice. Everything's coming along nicely. Problem is, everything is coming along slowly, right? So given as much time as I have into this map, which, like I said, that's 2 Novembers ago, it's a while. I still have, you can see all these white areas on here, right? So I still have models that need to be finished. I have models that need to be created. On all of these outlying properties, there's still houses, there's buildings that belong here, right? So something belongs here. So there is still a lot left to do. Now, the nice part is these outlying areas are just that. They're big open areas. Maybe there's a house here or there, or a building here or there, but it's not like it was in town, right? So recreating that entire town, that's took some time, right? It really, really took some time. So once I make it past there, I feel like things are going to speed up, and they already have. Like, I've spent the past couple of days just going through some of these outlying areas, throwing in some trees, putting down some grass. And that's mostly all it's really going to need. Now, there's going to be a lot of detail work into it. I'll have to come back to that, which really isn't that much of an issue. My main concern is that I'm getting past the parts that are really, really going slow. All right. So the problem ultimately comes down to timing. All right. Now, as you guys know, FS25 was announced. All right. So we're looking at November. Now, this map, I had said, even if it's done November 11th, it's going out. It was built around 22. It was built for 22. The problem becomes, if I do a conversion, like, let's say I just say to hell with it, and I stop where I'm at and wait till 25, everything is different. The houses are different. The styles of the houses are different. All of your deco objects are different. Your textures are different. All of your foliages are different. Everything is different. Now, don't get me wrong. This would look killer with the God rays and the fog and everything else. And at some point down the line, I might decide that it's worth remaking this map for 25. But we'll see. I need to play it first, and I shouldn't stress it as much, right? So maybe it'll be done before FS25 comes out and I'll have a chance to play it, and it is what it is. But if it's not done before FS25, where does that leave me? Is this the map that will never be? Um, do I still keep finishing it for 22, which I'm going to do? It's a 22 map. One way or the other, it will be completed for FS22. I know there's a lot of people out there that still play FS19, right? They do. Some people play both 22 and 19. Some people just 19. So it's not a large percentage of people by any stretch of the imagination, but it's out there. So one way or the other, this is going to be finished. It's not going to be received that well, I'd imagine, because everybody else is going to be playing FS25, which is understandable. And I get that. Like I said, just sucky timing is what this came out to. Really bad timing. I really would like it to not be an abandoned project. I've got far too much time and work into this map to just say, let's just move on to something with FS25, right? Which, I'm looking forward to building a new map. I have enough time into this that when I'm done, I'm done. I don't think I want to redo this because, trying to convert this map over to FS25 could easily be another 6 months plus, 6 months to a year. And that's being conservative. So do I want to invest that much time into this map when I already have well over a year into this? I don't know. So who's to say what is going to be coming to this map? I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think? If you had so much time into a map, I mean, I got everything down to everything. Cemeteries, right? I even built all the headstones for it. These are just examples, but I built all the headstones for the cemetery. Don't get me wrong. I didn't do them on the 1-to-1. I didn't build the exact headstone that belongs there. I just threw together a handful of them. I didn't get that crazy. But like I said, there's a fair amount of work left to be done, but it's work that should go quicker. So maybe it'll be done. Maybe it won't. But I'd like to hear your thoughts. I'd like to hear what you think. One, I'd like to hear your thoughts of what you think I should do. Even if it's, like I said, if it's an FS22 map, maybe you'll get to play it for a month or two before FS25 comes out. Maybe one day it will be an FS25 map. Hard to say. One thing I know for sure is if it's not done by the time FS25 comes out, I'm going to be busy. It's going to be a busy time for me. I'm going to be dissecting the new game, figuring out what has changed, building tutorials around that information, getting you guys up to speed. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. Right. So on top of that, I'd still be having to complete this map, which is a bit of work. And I'm pushing myself to complete an FS22 map when FS25 is already out. Like I said, I mean, who's going to play it? There will be people. Obviously, there will be people, but not nearly as much as if this was the release tomorrow. It would be received pretty well, I would think, because ultimately it's shaping up to be a really, really nice map. At least I think so. It's kind of like with parents and their kids, right? So every parent thinks that their kid belongs on the cover of a magazine, when in reality, their kid's butt ugly. Sorry. It's the truth sometimes. That is what it is. And I get it. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not saying anybody has ugly kids. There may be some out there, but it is what it is. You get what I'm trying to say. So what I think, looks really good. Somebody might think, you wasted your time. It's not that great of a map. But I don't think so. Right. So a lot of these areas like this town, a lot of it's just deco stuff, but not all of it. A lot of it's functional. This was one of the train stations here that, you can now drive through. And this is pretty similar to what was there in real life, right? And in real life, there was houses, even this open area right here. No, actually, I think this was some sort of lot that had a building or something in here. But these houses sat right here, like literally across the street from the factory. Like, property prices are probably cheap there, I would imagine. I mean, it's not a big population in that town. And it's funny because spending this much time on the map, I've gotten to know every building on this map, every street sign. Like I am so well acquainted with Palmer, Kansas. It's just ridiculous. Oh, and these things here, if you're wondering why these are super bright green, now part of it's because of the vegetation on the bottom. The other part is because of algae. These are what they call stabilization ponds. Let me see here. I got a sign here that says right there, waste stabilization pond, City of Palmer. Like I said, the signage, everything. These little great things that sit here, those are there in real life. Like it's a pretty damn accurate map, if I have to say so myself. But anyhow, back to why they're green. The stabilization ponds, like around here, we have like waste treatment facilities, right? Where all your water kind of goes in there. Wastewater goes in there. They retreat it and put it back into our water supply. Maybe not drinking water. They release it into the river. But that's kind of what this does, right? So that's kind of their version of waste treatment. And I think what it does is, I don't know if they treat it with a certain chemical or what, or it's just like a really slow process, but the algae and stuff like that helps break down and neutralize the waste that's in there. It helps stabilize it. And then they can kind of release that back into the wild, what have you. But like I said, this is where I'm at. And since the purpose of this video was to be able to drive around and let's see what it looks like, while we're driving. Now, be forewarned, there's tons of floating buildings. All of this stuff that you see here is going to show up. All right. And things are not complete. But anyhow, let's have a look. Let's see what it looks like. So give me 1 second and I will meet you guys there. Okay, I am back. So here we are in game finally. I know it's been mere seconds for you, but it was a good 15 minutes for me. Every time I tried to move, it would kick me out of the game. Did not know what was going on there. It was not making sense. So I had to troubleshoot that issue. Hopefully I got everything okay now. Hopefully. I tested it and it seemed to be working okay. So hopefully this is not a waste of time. I shall find out. All right. So here we are in game. Like I said, hopefully the sound, I quickly went through and turned down some of the sounds. I wasn't anticipating recording today. Like I said, I've been playing a lot, so my sounds are where I would like them, to play. Anyhow, this is not yet the home farm, but potentially. The whole property still needs a lot of work. No, I don't start you off with anything fancy. You're kind of right here in town, across from the church. The church is going to sit right there. Baseball field's across from you. You have a basketball court there. Let me go over so here sits the basketball court. If I can get inside, there we go. My doorways, for some reason, I've been setting all of my doorways to a standard height like this here. And I have to maybe I'm just putting on weight, but I have to wiggle myself. I have to wiggle myself through. But that's the church. The church is, again, not complete. So I have a lot of properties that are not complete yet. But this potentially is the home farm. So like I said, it's the whole point is to start you off small and you can kind of move your way up. As you make money, you can, either build properties or buy bigger, better properties. But I'll give you an old rusty shed here. This was made by myself. I have not even tested these, but again, door opens, but I have to wiggle through. So that part's okay. Come on, here we go. All right, let's try this one. Hey. What? Hey. All right, so maybe that needs a little bit of work. It didn't really. Let's see what it's doing from the inside. It's just something with the animation. All right, that's fine. That's easily fixable. And it's nice and rusty. You can see it's been here for a few years, right? So let's get out of here. So I gave you 2 sheds like this. This silo is also custom for this farm. It's a remod though. That is not 100% mine. It's basically I did a little bit of work on it, but it's mostly just retexturing. This is object storage. Now, you guys are going to have to help me out on this one because I do not recall object storage from my last map. So is that something that's part of farm production maybe? Not sure. What I'm trying to avoid is putting objects onto the map that you need. That's something other than base game, right? So like if a player doesn't have the DLC or if they don't have the farm production, they're not going to see this here. So I don't want that there if it's not part of base game, but I do not recall that being part of base game. Anyhow, I don't have any vehicles on the home farm quite yet. So let's tab over until we find something. I don't know if I should use a tractor or just use the truck. Man, I guess the truck will work. Oh, you know what I do not have, and it's not turned on either. Where is it turned on? Aha, it is turned on. There we go. Sorry about that. My head tracking. That's much better. I plan on doing a video about that somewhere in the future too. If you guys use any type of head tracking, whether you're using Toby or you're using Track IR, they're both equally good in their own way, but there are definite differences, and there are definitely ones I prefer over the other. And I plan on doing a video about that one day because both units are kind of costly, and I would like to not see people waste their money if they don't have to. Anyhow, like I said, this big giant rock does not belong there. That is not going to stay there. And man, is that ever a big rock. Alright, so these are what my streets look like. I have several different types of foliages in this map. Some things I have not tested out, like this road that kind of just heads off through the middle of this field. There we go. This, like I said, this is just for me to kind of look around, see what everything looks like. So if I'm not doing a whole lot of explaining, it's just because I'm busy looking, just seeing if everything looks okay. All right. A lot of times, like I've noticed, it's important to play your own maps. And honestly, that's part of my problem, is I didn't have a whole lot of time into my own maps. You'll realize some things work better than others, right? Like trees that look really good like this, maybe a little bit too close to the path. So some things you would either fix or do differently on your next map, right? And I've been playing Rocky Mountain, and I realized on that map there's some things that I should be doing differently. All right, little bridge out here. Now this water here, this Pete's Creek, now it has all kinds of like rocks and logs and stuff in it. There's a lot of foliage that goes along the bank, so that's not complete yet. And I think these roads out here are mostly just like field access, to kind of, so you can get to different parts of the field. And there is a lot of ponds. There's tons and tons of ponds and bodies of water on this map. Mostly just ponds, but they're like everywhere. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of people don't like. Well, I do. I love water on a map. I think it looks gorgeous. But some people hate it because you can't really do anything with the property. If there's a pond on there, it kind of is what it is. So I think this might have just been field access, maybe. Yeah. Now, plenty of difference. I mean, you can see the size of this field. This will keep you busy for a little while. No doubt, no doubt about it. So the fields range anywhere from, starter fields to mid-sized fields to you'll be there all afternoon fields. So there's a good mix of fields on this map, which is something I was looking for. Now I did, like I said, I took the liberty of changing some things up. Some fields didn't really work to my liking. So, I changed some things up and, made them either bigger or maybe changed their shape a little bit or what have you. Like I said, I got several different types of foliage on this map. I think I have foliage from like every map. I've got one that doesn't belong to any map at all. It's a custom foliage, not custom by me. And then I got like the meadow from the US, and that's mixed in with think I used some from the Alpine map and maybe even the French map. Now, I have them all, but maybe not all of them have been, like, used a lot. These two textures have been used a lot. This meadow grass that you see here. Let me hop out and actually see what this grass looks like. I'd like to mow it and see how this works, like how it mows, but it looks pretty good. It don't look bad. I like it. This is the same map, same grass that if you guys have played like what map was it? I think it might be Tahitian, maybe Tahitian County. It's the same grass. So, that's what it is. Nice. I like it. All right. Anyhow, up over the hill. Here we go. Now, I didn't go through yet. I like to keep all of my my paths like bumpy and stuff, so I didn't add any bumps yet. They're all still pretty smooth. We'll see. Maybe I'll keep them semi-smooth because in Rocky Mountain I overdid it in some areas, and man, there's some areas that are way too bouncy. So we'll see. So I believe this here just kind of shoots up to the road behind us, and it's mostly just field access. This kind of gets you through these back areas here. It's all field access. Like I said, just kind of looking around, see how everything looks. Even these fields here, these aren't too bad. Nice little field, right? This will be a little starting field. You know, again, the creek cuts through pretty close. Some kind of drainage up there. I don't even remember putting that there. So much work went into this map. Stuff I did years ago. Well, yeah, honestly, years. I'm like, ooh, that's nice. I don't remember putting that there. It's funny how, like I said, lots of open area that, you know, you can do what you want with. Now, the one thing I plan on doing a little bit differently with this map, there's a property or something that belongs here, is I plan on adding grass fields. Like, I know that these fields here are all made of grass, but strictly grass fields, right? That, I'm not sure how it translates in the game. I know you can set it when you're making the map that it's designated for just grass, so when the map loads, it'll be grass. It'll be a grass field. I don't know if you could replant something else there. I have to test that out. Something I want to test out. Because I have a couple areas that really wouldn't make a really, really good field for like crops and stuff like that. But it would make a decent, you know, grass if you're doing any type of grass. Alright, so this is what we're looking like out here. Now, I guess the outside of the map doesn't look too bad. Like, off in the mountains over there look a lot better, I think, than this side does. But still not bad, right? Off in the distance it looks pretty decent. I might change some of that. The one thing I do not like about this map here is what I did when I created the map is I started working before I even put the border in. This should have all been done as one piece. The border, everything should have been done together, and I did not. I waited on the border, and then I made so many changes to the outside of the map, to the elevations and stuff like that, that my border no longer matched. So now my border actually sits, let's see if I can get out of this vehicle. The border does not sit level, right? It sits lower than the actual map, but you know, from a distance, you really who's playing the map, you know, 2 feet from the edge. Hopefully nobody. I mean, even though these fields here are pretty close to the edge, it's still, I'm not overly worried about it. I don't like it, but I'm not overly worried about it. All right. Like I said, there's still, none of this is finished, by the way. There's just, you know that. There's tons of foliages that need to be added to this yet. Bushes, trees, that sort of thing. Alright, I'm going to head down this way a little bit because the car dealer is down. I call it a car dealer. The shop is down here where you can get your tractors and stuff. Those trees off to the left do not belong there. Those are just there for me to pick from. I tend to throw all my deco objects on the map somewhere, and then it's like going shopping. When I need something, I just come through and just pick out what I need when I need it. So I don't. That's one of the things I'm hoping is a change with the new editor. I'm hoping they add like an asset manager. All right, so some kind of property. You'll notice that's the areas that still need to be worked on, right? So I'm either going to build the buildings or figure out what I'm going to put in these empty areas here, because these areas all have something that goes here. All right, and this is going to be the shop is going to sit up this way. All right, so I tried to really load up some detail in here. I mean, you can see there's even street signs for all of these roads. So right now you're on 5th in Madison is where we're at. And they're all accurate, real life. You know, they're all accurate to what's in the area. Signage is going to be a big thing. I'm going to have to come back and work on the signage. There's going to be a lot of custom signage that goes in this map. And it's not going to be random stuff that, you know, I just pulled off the base game. It's going to fit the area, you know. The street signs are all accurate to the area, the highway signs, everything's good. All right, so this is the yard. This is like I said, there's so much custom stuff on here, it's just ridiculous. Like I literally made everything I needed for this map. That barbed wire fence obviously was made. This building here, the dealer, this Monroe tractor, that was made. Just everything. The sign, this brick wall out front, that was made for this map. A ton of stuff. So just so you get an idea of what took me so damn long making this thing is having to build all those models have just really really slowed me down. Like I said, that big sign there that says Monroe tractor. All right, now that's just the end of the map over there. This down here is going to be it's going to be one of the auxiliary farms, and I think it's going to be cows. They're going to be doing cows. There'll be a couple greenhouses on it. Maybe one other animal area. I think I have it set up for pigs currently. May or may not stay. The water, I got to figure out what the hell I did there. Somehow I got fast moving water in a pond, which doesn't even look good. It looks all stretchy. I don't know how I did that. I mean, the water itself, like, I don't know, like the ripples, it looks a lot better than regular. Hey, what are you doing out there? I always get these deer like floating up in the air or just, I don't know. This guy's walking on water like the Jesus deer. Really? Show off. Anyhow, can I do that? Wow, looks like I can do that. All right, so anyhow, like I said, this map is not complete. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. I have not actually done this. I once or twice in the early stages, I kind of hopped on to check things out, but more or less, I have not really, I've not really played the map. Not played, there's nothing to play, but I haven't really checked things out from inside the game. Well, that life preserver doesn't look so good. That boat is sitting a little too low, and so is the life preserver. But I do recommend when you guys work on your maps that periodically, more frequently than I do. It's more of a do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. But I do recommend that more often than I do, you guys spend some time getting into your maps, checking things out. Because especially as a beginner, because there's nothing like, working on your map for months and months or putting, X amount of work into it. You get in game and you realize, shit, something's not right. Something needs to be changed. That's going to take you another couple months to fix. Now, obviously, I've got maybe a little more experience under my belt, so I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, and I'm relatively sure I'm not going to have problems. But it's still, it comes back to bite me in the ass every once in a while that, I let things go. I'll get to it later, or, I'll check on it whenever, and then when I finally do, it's an issue. So it happens. All right, so this is going to be some sort of grain mill here. Again, obviously, it's a custom grain mill. So it's just going to be a sell point. Not much in here except a couple blank silos right now. Pretty big building. As far as modeling goes, it's a lot further along than what you see here. A lot of what you see is just placeholders. So I can kind of work around them, and I can keep developing, you know, and have something in its spot. Now, the one thing missing from here is the BGA. There's a BGA that's going to sit here, which you don't currently see because it's placeable. And I have it set in the placeholders transform group right now, so it's not showing up. But this is a BGA goes here. And this rock actually belongs there. It's not there in real life, but like I said, here and there I took liberties to just kind of, I don't know, spice things up a bit, right? Kind of spiffy them up. Pile of corrugated pipes, which, again, were made for this map. I just want to check out this property. This property up here was one of the last ones that I had actually worked on. So, you know, I think the ground and the foliages look pretty decent. Now, I really like this grass, but the height difference between, I don't know, it's throwing me off a little bit. Like over here, you can see there's weeds and stuff in it. Right in here, I actually used two different foliages. I used a different foliage for like any trees, forested areas. I'm not sure if I like them together. I don't know. I might have to reapproach that. Yeah. So this property, like I said, this is just kind of one of the auxiliary properties. I'm not sure. It may just be deco. I might actually decide to do something with it. I'm not quite sure. Hey, look. Floating objects. May have to do something about that. What is that? Okay, anyhow. Trailer sitting out in the field. Oh, this is... I was actually going to make... I think I did this in the Elm Creek extension, is I made this functional. Just a deco object, and that's why it's great is here. It's because I was going to turn it into a functional silo. Alright, and then you have this path, which leads you pretty far out. Now, this is one of the things that I was saying I might do it a little bit differently. Now, again, this is just mostly for field access and stuff, but when it starts cutting through the trees down here, while it might look nice and look scenic, if you're pulling anything behind you, especially if whatever you're pulling is wider, right, these trees may be a bit too close, like that tree right there. You're definitely going to catch that tree with something, no doubt about it. Well, maybe not, because that actually is not a tree. That is actually, believe it or not, a bush. Even though it looks a whole lot like a tree, it's actually a bush. So it wouldn't stop me if I ran over it. See? Bushes. So, I don't know. This is one of the things, like I'm saying now, like a lot of these trees here are awfully tight to the trail. So I either need to get in there, and I did move a fair number of them back already, but more of them are going to need to be moved, I think, for this to be like a functional access road. And there's an awful lot of foliage in here. There really is. Whoa. Well, I guess that's where it took me. It took me out to another road. Lost on my own map. Wasn't I just saying, like, I know this map like the back of my hand? I don't even know where I'm at. Anyhow, I do have an idea where I'm at. I mean, I was already down this road, actually. And I don't know that because I can see my tire prints. I know that. Let's go back to where we were. I actually want to make a left down, forget which street that is. Palmer Avenue, maybe. I'm not sure. Not like it makes a difference, but it's the road that leads to town. That's why I am trying to get there. Because that's really what I want to have a look at. I'm really not too interested in these outlying areas that aren't completed. I mean, to a degree I am. What I really want to see is the stuff that's already done. The town, right? How does that look? But I do think... So this is why I use the different foliages, like just to try to get a different look in some areas, because that makes a big difference, which I think a lot of new map makers really don't get. Right? You don't see. They're just not enough. don't want to say detail, but and I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, they'll put their grass fields and there's no weeds, no bushes, everything is just so plain Jane. But overall, I think even these outlying areas are starting to look pretty decent, right? So it looks like it could be, the fields are going to be okay. Semi-floating log. And I think if I touch that log, it should fall down, should it not? Yep. Some of these I don't worry about, like some floating objects. If you're able to pick them up or move them in some way, except for that log for some reason, part of it was touching the ground, that's probably why it stayed that way, is they will fall to the ground when you start the game. So if you find things like laying on their side or whatever, that's why, because it fell to the ground when you started the game. I'm just checking out some of my signage here to see what kind of signs I had. There are some custom signs already. I have more to make, but there are some that I'm kind of looking out for to see how they turned out. Again, just properties. Now the creek, with all the foliage, let me see, this is one of the signs I think I'm looking for. Yeah, actually turned out pretty good. And I believe even in my, let's see, nope, one of these I started making them so you can knock them over, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. It takes a long time. I just want to get out and look at these creeks. Like some areas of the creek, the foliage is like really heavy around it, like here. And I'm thinking about thinning it out. Now, in real life, at least the places that I can look, some of the foliage is heavier, some of it's not. So it's done this way, but I think I'm putting more than I really need to in here. Why, it looks okay. I might want to do something differently. Now, a lot of these logs, I don't know, like a lot of the players, if they know it or not, that you play my map, you can come through here. Like, say if you're starting out and you have no money, you can actually pick these logs up and sell them. Right, these are sellable. I don't know if you knew that or not. I don't know if you even care. But you can sell those. So if you're hard up for money, free wood. All right. Go get your wood. It's laying all over in the water. All right. So we got the bridge into town. We got, like I said, it's just objects I have laying everywhere. See, now the water in this area doesn't look too bad, right? I'm trying to keep it maybe a little bit more like that. All right. Not as grown in as that is. Some areas it makes sense. Some areas it doesn't. Alright, so like I said, we got all custom signage, Palmer City Limit. This looks pretty nice. I'm going to turn this way really quick. This was here in real life. There is actually a sign here that it just explains a little bit about like the history of Palmer. And that's there in real life. It tells you how they named it, like Pete's Creek, and how it got its name and who it was named after. Like I said, all these little things is what really, it took me some time, you know, to do all these things, make all these objects. Now, these houses here were some of the more custom ones that I did, and man, the windows are so dark in that. So these are things I'm looking for, things that would eventually need to be fixed, like super duper dark windows. I guess it looks right on some stuff and not on others. Some of it I may come by and actually make like your the other type of window you see in base game, where you can actually see into the house, right? You can see part of the interior and stuff. Like I said, little fields here and there. These are all just neighborhoods back in here that are not quite finished yet. And then the reason you see like dirt road and is all of these roads are dirt in real life, all of them. And I just happen to put, you know, regular streets there. The houses don't look too bad though. They look pretty decent. And I like it because, like I said, they're not base game houses. Hey, look at those chairs. That looks like they can use a little help. What happened there? Whoa. Might have to do something about that. Can I get up on that porch? Why can't I not get up on the porch? There we go. What the heck? Oh, I know what's going on. I wonder if do I have that porch set? And why are these chairs one object? What in the world? All right, so this is why we test maps. At least the rain spouts look okay. All right. And these railings, by the way. Now, I'm sure you guys should recognize this type of railing. At least for me, when I was a kid, even now, these things are like everywhere. They have this little loopy design on them everywhere. So, of course, since they were there in real life, I put them in a game. All these houses. And again, like I said, to me, is it a waste of time or not? Because if this street doesn't really go anywhere, it's just a deco street. I mean, who's going to drive down it and be like, ooh, this is so nice? And nobody's really going to pay that much attention. I mean, it's background noise, basically, right? Just adds to the ambiance. It's like, okay, it looks good, and that's about the end of it. But the map does need to look good, right? So, but other than that, it's a lot of time spent on something that people are going to drive by and pay attention to for about 10 seconds. And that'll be the end of it. Alright. So all in all, and here's the base game textures. These houses, these were done a little bit differently. They still have the interiors and the blinds, and I do plan on adding interiors to some of my other custom houses. Again, it's a process. That swimming pool is not finished, by the way. It's got colors on it, but it's not done. Pretty nice though. It has a ladder and everything to get inside it. I'm even going to add a water plane to it so you can go swimming if you want. Boop. Made it blue on the inside so it kind of looks. Oh no! Tell me I'm stuck in here. There we go. That would suck. Even got its own little pool pump. And how would you like to live in a house like this, right? Right smack dab in the driveway to like a huge plant. Because it's, like I said, this house it's here. It's really here. Boy, that garage door has seen better days, huh? All right, back to my truck. Okay. I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. When I record in my office, I have to turn the air conditioner off, and it is getting warm. All right, that is a fire station that sits there. It's an old fire station. The skelly, I have to redo part of it. Actually, I think I already did it. I just need to import it into the game. The door is too small. The diner here, the cafe, that's going to serve kind of the same purpose as it does in the game. You'll be able to sell some of your goods there. Maybe even this is a general store here in the corner. Now, like I said, there's white areas on it because again, there's areas that need to be finished. But you should be maybe able to sell some of your goods there. Now, this little building right over here, it says Palmer Jail. That's interesting. That was their original jail back in God knows how long ago that was. It's bad. I'm starting to even know the history of the town. All right, but overall, so the city itself, I think, is looking pretty decent, right? I think I'm fairly happy with the way this is turning out so far. So these houses looks pretty good. said, this is a video you guys may or may not be into. It's just more for me to just kind of quickly. I would normally spend a lot more time checking these things out. This is a hardware store over to the right in here. You can see that there's going to be a fill point there for, what do you call it? Can't think of it off the top of my head. But whatever it is, it's going to be in that silo. Lime, that's what I was thinking of. And then the gas station, obviously, is going to be here. A little bump that might need to be addressed. Or did I run over a curb? I'm not sure. There is a property that sits back here as well. More of those floating logs. Or maybe that one's meant to be floating. I think it was propped up on that other log. Yeah, this is the field where I keep all my objects. I move them around here and there. But I even built like custom like septic tanks. Kind of go on. Like I said, I might have overdone it and just really spent too much time building things that didn't need to be built. Honestly. Now this I planned on doing a, I don't know, maybe some kind of animal back here. Some of the areas that have animals are only going to be for deco. And I need to look into the husbandry limit because I think by me putting deco animals on the map, I'm using up some of the husbandry limits. Now, I'll include the script into the map and say, hey, there goes the train. Cool. Let's see if I can catch up to him. I don't know if I can tab into the train. I'll include the script for animal husbandries, so you get more husbandries. I think it gives you up to 64. Because like I said, some of these properties are going to end up... I guess I'm not really going to try and catch that train. Pretty cool, though. I got to see him go by. Yeah, I don't want to use up all the husbandries, so you guys, can't put your own animals in. That would suck. I think this area up here is going to have one, like right in here. I think there's some horses that belong in there, and just across the way, there's some horses. I do have some already going. Let's go have a look at that. Let's go over to the animal dealer. Let's see what that looks like. So all in all, like I said, the city part of the map, it's starting to look a lot more complete, right? Things are looking a whole lot better up in here. It's really only the outskirts that I have to get to, and that should go a lot faster because it's mostly fields, it's mostly open areas. So there is a chance, there's a fighting chance that this could be done before the release of FS25. At one point, I put myself on a self-imposed deadline of June, which is hilarious. Now it's hilarious to think, I don't know what the hell I was thinking that I was going to get this thing done by June, because not happening. Like I said, and it's not all because, it's a lot of it has to do with the models, but a lot of it has to do with I don't always have the time to put into these things, right? It's a time thing. I just took over a month off, just to kind of get away from everything because I was getting so burned out, right? So I lost a whole month right there. Now, I did work on it a little bit in that time, but not much. Oh, there's a sheep farm, I think, up here. Go up here really quick. Yes, it is a sheep farm up there. Not done, obviously. Nothing, like I said, everything needs to be done yet. I even built this little cattle guard here. I'm not sure why you would need a cattle guard on a sheep farm, but I built one. So we got one. Like I said, there's some base game stuff here. This is almost all base game here, actually. Because some of the deco properties I'm really not that worried about. If it fits and it looks nice, then great. If it doesn't, then I built my own. And that up there that you see, that white spot, is actually one of the animal meshes. just happens to be visible because I was, again, going to put some deco animals out in that little barnyard there. Let's get out of here. Let's go check out the animal dealer, because there should be animals up there that are functional. And it's not far from here. It's right up the road. I think there may be some utility poles that still need to be put in. Lighting, I realize Rocky Mountain is a dark map. I did not put enough lights on that map. So, even though there may not be, you know, lights like that on this map in real life, I do plan on, you know, putting... Now, this is what I'm saying. I do plan on putting a lot more lights on the map. This is why I need to redo some of this, I think. Let's see, if I look up there, there's a creek buried in all of those. That's just way too many bushes. Yeah, that's a lot. That's excessive. I mean, I kind of like it when you can see some of the creek, and you can't. That's buried. All right, so that's on my to-do list. I need to thin that out, like, majorly. Like I said, there's a lot of open area on here, so there's tons of area that you can, you know, player can do whatever they want. You can, you know, build your own property, you know, whatever. And I think it's important to have that room. You know, like a lot of maps, they just use every square inch of that map for fields, which is fine, not a problem. But you do need to keep some open area there that the player can do what they want to do. Right, so there's room to grow, basically. You know, it's important. At least I feel it's important. I said, man, there is water everywhere on this map. Just lots and lots of ponds. This is the animal dealer up here to the left, and there is. See cows outside, just doing their thing. So nobody actually owns that, obviously. It's, you know, animal dealer, so those cows will be there all year. It's going to be non-buyable property, so you can't buy it and actually start taking care of the cows. Oh, we can hear them mooing. All these gates I need to make like this here, because that's obviously a custom gate. I think I'm going to make it a placeable that you can open it and close it, because I use them in some areas that I would like to get into. I would like it to be able to open and close. We shall see. You can't see it now, but there's a cattle feeder way out there. Well, you can see from further away. That's something I just wanted to have a look at, because I haven't really seen what it looks like in game. Hi, buddy. Hey. How you doing? Alright, let's keep moving. Oh yeah? I love you too? I guess it doesn't look too bad. It works out, I guess. Yeah. Look at me that way. Oh. Thought he was going to charge. It looked like, didn't it? Like he was kind of bum rush me. Alright, let's get out of here. Off we go. Whew, man, I need to wrap this up. It is getting warm in this office. Alrighty, let's see here. Let's cruise around here real quick. I wasn't quite sure if all these buildings were going to stay or not stay. I just might shuffle them around yet. I'm not sure. They're all deco anyhow. Now these pens, I have this set up in such a way that I also wanted to put some animals into here. I don't know, maybe a pig or two, a sheep or two. And then I like to keep these little huts around because, you know, starting out, you don't always, you know, first you don't have a lot of money, so you don't always have places to, you know, store stuff. And I like to have some areas where you can just, you know, you can use them if you want to. They're there if you need them. You know, I did that with Rocky Mountain. I threw a couple silos on there that were kind of like just general storage, like anybody can use them kind of thing. And this way, until you got enough money, you know, to buy your own big silo. Yeah, see how the mountains and stuff over here look much better than on the other side of the map. It looks really good out there. really good. But on that far side of the map down there, I mean, it still looks good, actually. I think it all looks okay. Only problem is this area of Kansas does not have those kind of hills around it. Does not look like that. But again, like I said, I needed to take some liberties here and there to make things look, you know, a little more presentable in game. All right, road damage here and there. Ooh, that's a bumpy track. And this one, even if you go down this road, I put cracks, road patches, like all the way down. You'll see a patch here and there where the road's been patched. See that? I didn't do it on all the roads. I plan to, or at least on a lot of them. And obviously you can see that's a wide open area. Fields on this side, nothing on that side. I do have a fence there though, so I'm not sure. I mean, the fence is there in real life, just splitting the properties, I guess. I think it's just mostly going to be do what you want to do kind of thing over there. I don't think there's a whole lot planned on it, or planned for it. That's what I'm saying. A lot of this will go quickly, because there's nothing that really goes in there, except foliage. So that's why I haven't really been focusing on these areas, because, you know, I just scribble in some grass and stuff, and call it a day. We're done. A little bit of foliage. I'm trying to focus on the areas that really, you know, need to be focused on. I'm not going to go down that road because there's really not much down there. I think we're going to bang a right on this road up here. We'll head down, check out a couple things that I want to check out, like the cemetery, stuff like that. And then I'm going to wrap this up. It's very hot in this office, and I've seen most of the things that I want to see. And I'm sure this video is getting quite long, and these guys are getting bored by now. I would say most of these guys are probably not even watching this at the moment. You probably clicked off long ago, which is fine. Alright, another property sits back here. Let's go down here real quick. Yeah, base game stuff. Like I said, I mean, you have to use base game when you can. You go crazy trying to build every single one of these properties by hand. That's why I'm trying to back off a little bit and not build as much. But some things I do still, I need to be built, right? Because there's, you know, it's I don't have an alternative for those objects, which is fine. Not sure what's going to be back there yet. All in all, I'd say looking pretty good. There is some sort of like farm type deal that sits right back in there. And I started adding some of the elements for it. But I'm not quite sure what I want to do with it. And that's what I'm down to, I think, is a lot of, because I don't have anything on here as far as your sell points. Definitely no production points or anything like that. And that's basically what I'm trying to squeeze in right now. I'm trying to figure out where all of these things are going to go. You know, where am I going to put the sell points? Where am I going to put, you know, all these different things? I do want to go into this field really quickly, though. I want to have a look at one, like, over here was just kind of like a rocky area. Which, yeah, it's rocky. And the player will be able to do whatever they want to do with this. They can smooth it out and plant over it if they want. But for now, it's just a big rocky field. And I'm okay with that, actually. Here's where I started mixing in some of the different foliages, which may or may not stay. I'm not quite sure about all this yet. Looks kind of funky. And more water. You would have guessed. Not done yet. I said there's a lot of foliages that need to be done here. What are all these objects? Is that a garbage can? Sure is. It's a lot of garbage cans out here. Oh, I see. Remember when I said, you know, all of your objects that are able to move will literally fall from the sky when you start your map? All those houses up there, that's what happened. Those are all the deco objects from the houses that fell down. Ugh. Yep. And obviously they won't be there when the map is released. That would not be good. And then this road, I gotta figure out. I hate roads to nowhere, so I'm gonna have to figure something out for that. Alright, I guess it's not too bad out here. I'm not... I don't know. I'm not too sure about the different foliages. But I'll tell you what, though, because everything, look, it's kind of more like rolling fields. It's kind of nice. You can see the wind blowing across the grass there. Now, once the crops are up, it's going to look a lot different, obviously. But it doesn't look bad. All this wide open space does not look bad. I think it works for this map. I really do. I think it's going to be a good thing. I think. All right, let's cruise by here really quick. We'll go by the home farm. I want to check out the one area by the stabilization ponds. The basketball courts. We already went by there, though. I think. Yes, we did. We started there. Man, this looks really nice up in here. Baseball field. This is that house. I don't think is going to stay there because I already have a model for that house. It's just kind of acting as a placeholder. I don't think this is the road with the stabilization ponds, though. What? Oh, wow, that freaked me out. What is going on there? Alright, that's interesting. Okay. None of these buildings are going to stay here. I don't know why they're there. That stuff will stay there, though. I think the cemetery sits right up around this corner. Yeah, it's the cemetery up in here. Obviously not done yet. I still have to texture everything, and it's a lot of foliages. Like I said, there's just a ton of foliages that need to go in here. Just weeds and bushes, and I don't want to overdo it on the bushes. I mean, obviously I did on the creeks. To me, that's just way too much. Alright, in some areas I did put fences around the property, which I guess if the property is going to be purchasable, the fence also needs to be purchasable. I know people would hate to buy a property and they're stuck with a fence on it that they don't want there. But it looks good. This is another area here where I thought, whoa, it's the first floating tree that I've seen. This area down in here, this just cuts across the map. Again, it's mostly field access, but there was animals that I was going to put in there, again, because I think it would look nice, right? Have deco animals. I just got to watch how much I do it. Yeah, like, see, this road is a road to nowhere. It's here in real life. It just shoots off. I don't know why I put it there, because it's not really like it's field access at this point. There's really nothing back here. I probably could have skipped that area, skipped that road, because it doesn't do much. I mean, it makes sense if you're accessing a field or something like that, but who knows? Maybe you just want to go off adventuring, exploring. That's the fun part about a lot of this, right? A little bridge out here. One of my drums next to it, and that was placed there on purpose. It's just somebody's garbage that they left there. All right, I'm not going to go all the way down that road because that just takes us back out to the back end of that cow farm that's up there on the other side of the map. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up really, really soon. I'm starting to sweat. Overall, I think I'm happy. I really like the way it's coming along. I am very, very unsure of when this is going to be finished. I don't know. Like I said, give me your input. I believe one way or the other, it will be finished for FS22. No doubt about it. It will be finished for FS22. Even if FS25 is already out, it will be finished. It'll be playable. And then whether or not it gets converted to 25 remains to be seen. Maybe once I get a chance to play it and, we can see if it's a decent map to play. I mean, it sure looks good. If it turns out to be, a fun map to play, I think these concrete things, too, are going to go. Keeping those there. If it truly is fun, and I think it'll make a good map, then, we'll go ahead and do it. Maybe. But that is it. That is, I'm not sure if it's going to be called Palmer 2.0, Washington County, Kansas. That is, let me see how my trailer turned out. Get out here really quick. Oh, yeah. Not too bad. It look old. Threw some cracks in there. I even put bullet holes. There they are. Put bullet holes in them. I don't know why. Not trying to imply anything. I just, garbage next to the trailer. Again, not trying to imply anything. It's just an old trailer. That's all. All right. Old garage. All right. Overall, like I said, happy. I'm definitely happy with the way things are turning out. I think it looks pretty good. A lot of detail on the map. Like I said, everything. And it's, I'm not even near finished with the detail part of it. That part takes a long time too. Oh yeah, this is the only house that's a little bit different that you can actually walk in part of it. Now I can't get in because I think this step here is goofing it up. But there is an inner part to it, so you can kind of go up into the porch. Or should I say a short person can go up into the porch. I can't. Step is goofing me up. Think how much time it took me to do that, and I can't even go in and look at it. So I think about that. All right. So that's it. Looking good. That monstrosity of a house. That's there in real life, obviously, but I'm not sure what purpose that served. It looks like a regular house from the front. Like a regular, single level. The door's awfully dark. Yeah, it looks like a regular single level house. Is that ceiling brick? Damn it, that's not supposed to be brick. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm fixing that or not. As long as the underside of that roof isn't brick. No, it's not. Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be brick. That might just stay. And in the back is just a big area. Looks pretty good, though. Doesn't look bad. I'm happy with it. Happy. Happy days. Alrighty. So, like I said, you guys chime in. Let me know what you think. Oh, there's another thing I want to look at really quick before I go. Well, this is going to be like another horse farm, I think, here. Not one that you can buy, probably just mostly deco, I think. That's why the fence is so big, because there's going to be horsies on the other side. What did I want to look at? My own clothesline. The clothes aren't mine, but the clothesline is. Can't remember what I wanted to look at. Cinder blocks, I built those. How ghetto was that? I put the boat up on blocks. I was too lazy to make a trailer. It was easier to build a cinder block and throw the trailer on there, than throw the boat on there than it was to build a trailer for the boat. Ay. That's it. That is definitely you see that a lot everywhere, right? It doesn't matter if it's a car, a boat, tractor. You see a lot of things up on blocks. All right. So yeah, I am sweating. It's hot. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to leave it there. Definitely chime in. Let me know what you think. You know, what would you do in my situation? Keep plugging away. A band just kick the project to the curb and say, you know what? The hell with it. And here's the thing. Like I said, FS25 is going to be out in November. You know, even if this gets released on 22, how much is it really going to get played? Think about it. Not much. So do I just walk away and say it's been fun? Do I finish it? Because there are people that maybe they won't like 25. Maybe they can't afford 25. Or maybe they just still play both. So, like I said, I really do truly think one way or the other, it will be finished for 22. No doubt about it. There's too much work into this to just let it go. 22 is not going anywhere. Just because there's a new version of the game does not mean that the old versions are going anywhere. So this will definitely always have a place in 22. I don't know. It's just, I don't want to say if it's worthy of being rebuilt for 25. I mean, just the map. Nothing that special about this map that, you know, I need to put yet another year's worth of time into it and rebuild all of it for 25, you know. I'm just the way I am with things. I mean, there's been some truly great maps, but do you need that same map for every version of the game? No, probably not. You know, I would much rather spend my time building the next latest, greatest, you know, using all the new, I want to say technology, but changes that they made. You know what I mean? Just make a, you know, make a FS25 map using FS25 stuff. You know, something different, not something I've already done before. That's, you know, is what it is. So, anyhow, looking good. Let me know what you think. Wrapping it up. I am Bauer Brown. I'll see you on the next one.